What is the best case of you just fucked with the wrong person you've witnessed? Stepdad used to run the Iron Man equivalent in our area. Also had the absolute conviction found in his generation that justice was always on his side. Also, he always slept naked, which I learned as a result of this incident. One late summer night, two idiot kids tried to steal his truck out of his driveway. He sees this happening from his bedroom window and goes tearing out of the house, totally nude, and chases these two terrified kids for blocks, screaming, "I'm gonna get you." He tackles one, and the cops were on scene in moments because obviously some concerned neighbor noticed this happening at 2 a.m. in our sleepy little town. God only knows what that 911 call sounded like. Probably a good thing the cop already knew the kid as a car thief. He hung out with the sobbing teen and suggested my stepdad sit in the cruiser till his wife could bring him some pants. Armed robbers thwarted trying to hold up McDonald's where 11 Special Forces officers happened to be eating dinner. https www.telegraph.co.uk/news/2016/arm-robbers-by-off-more-than-they-in-McDonald's-ho. LD, amp. When my wife was T-boned by a drunk driver, it happened to be right in front of a bar that a friend owned. The bouncer at the door witnessed the accident and saw the drunk jump from his car and run. Bouncer proceeds to chase him down, beat him, and drag him back to wait for the cops. When I thanked him, his response was, "Are you kidding? That was a once-in-a-lifetime chance to administer a well-deserved beating." Quote, "A friend of mine's stepdad is not a good guy. He is full of rage and will lash out without a second thought. This made him the wrong target for two guys who tried to mug him near an atmosphere they came up to him and demanded he withdraw money. He grabbed one of them and smashed the guy's head and face into a brick wall. The other guy ran away, but he chased him down and beat the garbage out of him his ear." In middle school, during lunch period, a kid in my grade was getting picked on by this larger kid and his friends. He said, "Stop it. Leave me alone," a few times. No one watching did anything because we were just dumb kids who didn't want to get picked on either. Large kid was poking him and calling him names while his buddies laughed. Suddenly he slapped him in the head. The other kid went bananas. Face red, tears streaming down his face. He jumped on large kid and beat his ass, crying, "Just leave me alone." Teachers broke it up and began scolding him, but everyone who had been watching vouched for him, said he was only defending himself. I think they both got suspended anyway. No one messed with that kid anymore though. I didn't witness it, but I got first-hand accounts and saw the police report. Bob was a delivery driver at Domino's and was a little off his rocker. Kind of older, upper 60s, maybe all the way to 70. And the kind of guy who would cuss out a 10-year-old to make a point, but also gave away our canceled orders at the end of the night to homeless people. And #X200B. Anyways, Bob's delivering a pizza and gets mugged. The robber walked up and hit Bob in the head with a brick, dropped the brick, took his cash and took the pizza. Bob got up, took the brick and proceeded to mug him back and then called the police. The gangbanger in his 20s was too terrified of the pizza man in his 70s to run away and waited to be arrested. 10-year-old me seeing my dad's face when I didn't want to do the dishes and told my mom that she should do them because she did nothing around the house. I don't know how I survived tbh. Edit. The stupidity of what I said is compounded by the fact that those were the dishes of a meal that my mom had cooked by herself from scratch, like she did almost every night. I was in India with my Swedish friend. She was a semi-professional handball player at the time, so she was pretty muscular. Now, if you've ever been to India with or as a white woman, you're going to get groped. Often. Not to say all men in India are such pigs, but it's a populated country and enough of them are for to be an almost daily or in some cases multiple times a day event. It was just after a heavy monsoon rain in Goa and we were walking along a dirt path near the beach, right alongside this giant 20-centimeter deep puddle that basically covered the whole road. She'd been accidentally groped twice already that day, and had done nothing. But this time was different. 5 or 6 youngish guys, late teens, maybe early 20s, all in designer jeans, sneakers and baseball hats and so on, despite us being at the beach. Basically rich kids from Mumbai were walking along, blocking the whole path and literally just grabbing girls as they passed by. The easier than they got to her, and one of them just ran his hand up from her waist across her breast, and she fluffing socked him across the jaw so fast and hard he just crumpled backwards before anyone knew what was happening, right into the huge mud puddle. In all his designer gear, he splashed around a bit, and we thought his friends were going to kick off, but of course, they all put their heads down and kept walking, terrified as she started shouting at him as he tried to get up, reaching for his hat which was floating nearby, and she puts her foot on his chest and just pushes him back into the puddle, right down, making sure he was completely covered, face and everything. "Stay there till you can't see me anymore," she said. And we walked off. I checked back, and he was still lying in the puddle, even though she was 50 meters away or so, just waiting for her to leave. It was glorious. My youngest daughter was getting picked on in elementary school by a boy who was 2 grades above her. He constantly taunted, pushed, and annoyed her. One day he pushed her from behind, and she dropped her books. She immediately turned around and full-on kicked him square in the nuts with all the force her soccer-playing leg could muster. I've been told he curled up and bawled for several minutes. While my daughter was sent to the principal's office, she was smiling when her mother picked her up from school. I watched a neighbor lay out 2 douchebags that were harassing women at a party in about 15 seconds. He gave them every opportunity to apologize to the women and walk away, but they thought they could take him as you're keeping it real when wrong. I'm not sure if it's the best, but it's certainly the most violent. Some prick in his 20s was drunk, telling everyone in the pub how he could kick everyone's ass, and generally mouthing off about what a hard man he was. He started hassling this workman in his 50s, who was clearly trying to have a quiet drink by himself, who did not react at all, just continued drinking and ignoring the moron. Moron didn't take this well and poured his drink over the workman's head, who proceeded to take his painter's trowel out of his work bag, gash the hard man right across his face, finish his drink and calmly walk out while the other guy sprayed blood everywhere and screamed. Sunderland in the 90s was an interesting city to drink in. My family and I grew up in Baltimore City. The specific neighborhood we lived in wasn't the best, but certainly not the worst either. At the time, late 90s, early 2000s, one day when my little brother was around 7, he was outside in the street next to our yard playing on his skateboard. A group of kids not much older were walking by looking to start trouble. It all happened so fast. They ran up and started beating on him, then stole his skateboard. My dad was home that day. My sister and I ran inside hysterical, and without even thinking twice he jumped up from his lazy boy in only his t-shirt and shorts, maybe only touched one of our 7 stairs out front, and absolutely bolted after those punk butt kids. This 50-year-old man, at the time, chased them for like 3 blocks in his bare butt feet, and they're screaming, fearing for their lives. They finally dropped the skateboard at some point, and my dad stopped chasing them and grabbed it. But holy fluff, I'd never seen him so angry and move so fast. Signature angry dad warning sign. His eyes get huge and piercing, terrifyingly blue. When he came back, his feet were so bloody and roughed up from straight sprinting on the concrete, through gravel roads and alleyways. We never saw those kids near our house, let alone around our neighborhood again. And #X200B. My dad is the greatest. Don't fluff with his kids. didn't witness it, but it was all over the news some years ago. In Los Angeles, a guy tries to hijack a van. Canadian Olympic judo team was in that van, including the trainer. To quote one of the members of that team, "He did not know what hit him.